Alright guys, going to be going over the second game that you guys had tonight. We're going to start in the draft again. First thing we'll talk about, I just want to reiterate this, is as you guys play more together, this should never be a ban basically. You should be able to play around it. You guys did a good adaptation, at least this time, of picking the Ezreal first pick. The only issue that I have with this still is what I was referring to in the first game about having flex picks and being able to play um, flex picks from the blue side. So you don't have to pick it with your first one, which is perfectly fine. But there are plenty of flex picks that you guys should be able to play in multiple spots. Um, Lissandra's one of them. Cassiopeia is one of them. They're obviously banned this game. Silas is another one. He's not as much mid laner anymore. He's really good top lane. But then it goes to Nico, like they have here. Nico's very good at either mid or top, depending on what type of composition you're going to try to draft. And you already know that they are going to pick this. Basically, if you let it roll through, and you guys do a better job of picking something that's stronger into it this time, which you did a very good job. Jarvan's actually a good flex pick right now. He's top or jungle. Vladimir is insanely good. Vladimir can be played in 3 lanes basically. Um, so these are the types of things that you guys should be thinking about. Um, a Ezreal's a really good pick. You just saw it in the last game, and what I was mentioning to you guys as well was it was insanely good because you guys had triple AD and only 1 AP, and you'll see that their response to it is they go 2 AP. They get Vladimir and Nico, so that Iceborne becomes less potent versus you. So this is the type of thing to think about. So if you let the Ezreal go this time and say you guys pick the Nico, and then they pick Ezreal, you get to counter the Ezreal now. Kai'Sa's very good versus it. Lucian's very good versus it. Like these are stronger picks than Caitlyn as well. So even if you first pick Nico, say that, or say you first pick Jarvan and you're gonna flex it, or any of the flex picks, you're just building a stronger foundation for the draft because you get to counter pick something of theirs. So if they pick 80 carry, it's not a solo lane, but at least you still get to pick the lane priority basically. So that's something I want you guys to think about whenever you're going forward and stuff. Whether I end up becoming your coach or not, is you need to think about how you can construct your drafts from blue side and red side. They're different drafts, and giving yourself an advantage in at least 2 roles. Like you need to be able to be to counter basically and gain priority in 2 of the roles. So just life in general in the early parts of the game are a lot simpler. So I would have picked something that's more of a flex here instead of the Ezreal, and then countered the Ezreal if they picked it. So because Sivir she can shove back against the Ezreal very easy and just basically put him on his side of the lane, and it makes it harder for your own jungler to get help you guys out with priority for the scuttle crabs as well as vision. Um, and this is also the champion I was talking about. The last game was Tom Kench. Tom Kench is a nightmare. He's such a good champion right now. I really think this should have been your ban instead of the Caitlyn. Or if you don't play Nico yet, Nico could have been a good ban. But I like your adaptation this game at least, where you went with Talia versus this, because it does very well in pushing back, and you can roam with it, which is something we'll talk about as well. So we're just gonna speed through this last part of the draft. So this is again, Poppy's not a bad champion, but um, since you're gonna get counterpicked here, you basically um, are giving them the count. We're not giving them. It's blue side. So no matter what, you're going to get countered in one of your solo lanes. So this is why it's better to play champions like Vladimir, because he is so um, he's just strong throughout the whole game. He's a little weak in the early parts, but it's harder for them to pick something that's really strong into him, especially when they ban something like an Aurelia, even though I know Aurelia is better versus physical damage, because he can just farm a lot safer and just basically help you guys talk about what your game plan. What your game plan this game should be literally jungle and mid lane. You should be camping the shit out of this Nico in the early parts of the game and snowballing that to all hell, and then also bottom lane, and then just letting Poppy basically survive. But I still think this should have been a different pick. Aeoli played it perfectly fine and everything like that. I'm not knocking it. I'm just talking about as in regards to the actual champion that you're picking. And also in the current meta, I know Sion is an incredibly strong late game, but why are we banning it? Because he's still a better tank than Poppy. Because they don't have any. The only leap they have is this right now. So just curious about the Poppy pick. I don't know you guys champion pools either. So, but then they get to basically pick Vladimir into this, which is basically Vladimir's never losing this lane. I'm pretty sure you guys get a gank off early and it makes it a little even, which is perfectly fine. But he can basically keep the pressure on our top laner the entire time, and that's just never a good situation. I know Poppy's really good in team fights and everything like that, but you guys have one really good strength of your team as well, and that's poke from these two. And then you have really good disengage from these two. Poppy fits into this for that reason, which is great. So that's something you guys should be talking about as the game is progressing, though, because that's a win condition for you guys. You can basically poke them out. You can even Jarvan can even act as a disengage by alting onto someone and then EQing out, basically retreating. So you have a good win condition here by poke with good disengage. So just remember, you guys need to talk about what your win conditions are, what theirs are. Theirs is a straight team fight composition, which is really good because Sivir, Nico, Vi, Vladimir is insanely strong. And then Tom Kench to save anyone is broken. So again, and this is just oops, I let the thing run. This is just my opinion on picks is basically they have three tier A champions, Sivir, or actually four, because Nico's not an S tier. She's probably A. He's probably S tier though, and he's definitely A or S tier. So they have a crazy strong draft. You guys have two A or S tier. Ezreal's S tier, Jarvan is A tier. So just in terms of picks alone in the meta, um, they they completely won the draft in that regards. That's why it's really important to be able to have flex picks like Vladimir and other strong picks that are in the meta, because then you guys on blue side can get power picks that you can flex to other places, so you're not countered in all the lanes. So Sivir's not a counter, but she doesn't lose to Ezreal in the sense that she can just shove him in and then back up basically, and she scales very well too. Talia doesn't. I don't want to say she counters. I think you win a lot earlier versus the Nico though with Talia, which is good. Jarvan versus Vi is a pretty good matchup. I think Jarvan wins the first few levels, but once they get to 6, I think it kind of evens out. Vi might actually win that. Depends on the build that you're going, I guess too. So we'll stop talking about the draft now and go into the game. So again, this part of the match, no matter what draft is over, you guys should be talking about what their summoners are, and then your level one, what you want to do. Like their level one this game is Tom Kench, Sivir, Nico, so it's relatively strong. But you guys also have Talia, Ezreal, Braum, so you guys both have pretty good level ones. With depending on what Vi starts, your level one's probably slightly better because of Poppy Q. So you guys could be talking about, at least like I was saying the first game, talking about doing some kind of invade, at least for vision, knowing that you're safe because you have the stronger level 1. So these are just the types of things you guys should be talking about as we're going in. And just a standard 5-point again. And again, the most important part is realizing where their jungler starts. So now Central is talking about most common um, routes, and we did not get a ward in the pixel brush this game, which is a mistake. I'm pretty sure we have one stacked on top of theirs here, but we need a pixel ward um, every game. Like, it just helps out tremendously. So now it's a lot easier for us to track basically where their Vi is. Regardless of missing the EQ, it's a really good early gank. Um, if you don't know by now, you should know that they started, the Vi started on the red side. So you should be thinking about, do I win the 1 versus 1 right now versus the Vi? Because that'll change which side you go to for Scuttle. And basically, since we have priority mid now, you should be wanting to go for this Scuttle because you also protect your own blue buff. Um, but main reason is because now we have priority mid lane and he can roam to you. So you're just making your pathing a lot simpler. And if she does do something like she did where she took red to this, she's actually planning to go to the Scuttle, I'm pretty sure, because of that pathing. So this is where Scuttle should be our objective here, and it's going to basically keep her in her own jungle. But she now sees you because you were at mid lane where you went to, so she's probably just going to stay safe. But these are things, again, you should be communicating to the team as well, Central. Since you're the driving force of the early game, like the first 15 minutes of the game, you're touching all the lanes like you did already in the mid. So just think about that stuff. Go into the game some more. And this is something a lot of teams do as well. It looks like you guys already did. It looks like you're building. Looks like you're building Iceborne first this game, unless you're building Trinity. I can't remember. But I'm surprised you didn't go tier first here, since you're just in basically a farm lane. But this is something that I was wondering during the game as well. We haven't seen the Vi in a while, and I understand you have a pink ward over there, but why are you standing in that part of the lane? Basically, if she's over here, you could very well get punished and die here. Especially, you have to look at your mini map where Jarvan is. You should never be in this position right now. Vladimir has priority on the top lane because of the matchup. He's just going to be able to shove into her a lot more and then gain priority here. You should never be on this side of the lane at this juncture. You should basically be just playing behind the minions, or if you're going to come to the side, just go ahead and come, try to do some poke damage, and then just retreat really fast. Not doing this. Because you end up getting out. I don't think you even have to flash, but that could have been a lot worse for you. That's just a mistake that you shouldn't even risk having, especially with your jungler not there. So, it's just something you need to think about. We're going to do a check at 10 minutes this game. We just missed. So this is first blood. So let's talk about this too really fast. So we see Vi on a ward, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I Can't tell because her big head's in the way. It doesn't look like we did see it. So my questioning to you is why are we taking this path to go bottom? If you're gonna make a play bottom, first thing you need to do is ask where the wave, like use your F keys to look at the wave. And you can see right now the wave is clearly pushing back here. B, your alt, you can take the safer route and just going down to the backside of Dragon and alting that way. Instead of taking the riskier route, which is where you end up doing, and you end up getting killed first blood and using your summoner. Like there's certain points where you just have to realize that you're going to die and just save your summoner too. We end up getting a return kill. Central did a good job at coming back. Does he get two here? I think a shield comes up. Yeah, he doesn't get it. So immediately right here too. This is something I was referring to earlier about back timings. You know Vi has to go back right now. Paradine is here. You should just be going back to base and letting him shove this wave into turret so they lose some experience because you need to be back on the map at the same time Vi is. It's very important that we always have proper back timings. Um, he just made a good counter reaction of getting the kill and almost getting a double kill. But since you have someone here already that can soak up this experience and gold, just you need to go back so you can get back onto the map at the same time as the Vi. And this is exactly what I was talking about the first game about being baited by plates. Like this is this is very risky right there. You could have died if Tom Kench would have roamed a little earlier, and I think he might be alting right now. So this is just stuff like you guys have to be aware of that can happen and should happen, especially when you're playing versus teams that are a lot better. Look, we're gonna lose two people here, I think, and then I think at this situation too, Don, you should have no retreat in you because there's no mana on Sivir. You should never take any steps backwards. Oh, you got rooted there. Okay. So you got the kill. I thought for some reason when I watched it you took a step backwards, but you just got rooted. But this at this point right here, you should just retreat now, because this is chasing. This is technically uh, after you extend past this, because he gets a shield, she blocked the thing. You did a good job. You should just retreat, because any chasing past this is just solo queue. You have to learn how to take small wins, and your small win right now is you killed your opponent in the mid lane. You're already up 16 CS, so now you can go back to mid lane and just get an experience and gold later on her even more instead of trying to go too deep. I think you get a second kill, but again, like as soon as this guy hits you with his Q, he should just be leaving too. I think you get this kill. Yeah, you do. Do you actually get out of this? I don't remember. I don't think so, but I could be wrong. Okay. You end up getting out, but you basically took a giant risk for no reason. This is a good response for you Central because you knew basically where their entire team was. So you're just basically denying them a whole bunch of experience and gaining experience yourself in gold while getting some turret plating. Um, this is something you guys could be communicating as well as like asking about summoners right away. Also, like what Vi's health is, because Dragon's up on the board right now, and this is why. So this is actually a bigger point of why chasing there was a mistake. A, you knew both the bottom lane had to go back, and you had the mid laner already dead. You could have just said, you could have just came back mid shoved, and then you guys could have literally just went and took Dragon. This is a team objective. This is way more important than getting one more kill. Um, so you guys have to think of more objective based whenever we, like I mentioned, when you get like a small advantage or something like that, you need to immediately think, is this worth chasing for, or is there an objective on the map that we could get in turn? Because even if you didn't do the dragon, um, if Jarvan just came mid with you, I'm pretty sure you have the mid turret at this point down to 2 turrets plus Braum was there. You probably could have got that turret because of Vi can't wave clear, especially versus 3 people. So that's what I mean about like chasing for too long, basically instead of thinking objective based. Um, because now like the timing of everything is off, and now they can defend the dragon if they want to, instead of it just being ours, or instead of us just getting the turret. Yeah, see, there's 2 plates on the mid turret, so you guys could have either 3-man mid and got the turret, or you could have just went straight to dragon after you shove mid lane. And this is why wave priority is such a big deal too. Is right now, this is what I was talking about earlier, they're not starting the dragon. We're just kind of posturing for it. This is why we need to be on this side of the dragon. Because you guys have a poke composition right now with Talia and Ezreal. So you could literally be having Talia up here shoving the wave while you guys posture on this side. Ezreal can be poking them, which he does a fair amount of damage already, and then you guys can make the decision based on whichever dragon it is, because remember they only have 2 plates on the mid lane as well. So you guys could literally be getting either trading the dragon for the mid turret, which is insanely beneficial. It doesn't matter what dragon this is. If you get the mid turret before them, you just open up all sorts of pressure on the map. Um, we end up getting a kill because they're out of position too. Like this is just them being scattered too. So everything I'm referring to, remember, if you're playing a better team and they're thinking more objective based, like Sivir basically backed up into the lane, and Tom basically got caught out. He already has vision down. He should just be backing up and they should be talking about what they want to do. But you guys end up getting a pick, which is good. And then you have really good vision control now afterwards, which is great. But now you guys should be talking about what's the next objective. And this is something I stress all the time, is anytime you're in this window, literally 12 minutes to 14 minutes, if you guys are even or up, Shelly should be your objective now, because as soon as those plates go down, Shelly can get the first turret gold for your team as well. So you don't have to use Shelly to get the plates, but you can get the first turret with Shelly, especially if you guys look at your map, you have 2 turrets already at 40% or lower, mid and bottom. So that's why I'm always saying one thing happens, what's the next plan? What's next? So what can we do in the next minute or two? So we know at 14 minutes all the plates fall off. So our objective should be getting Shelly to either get the last 2 plates with her on one of these turrets, or just dropping her right after the plates go down so she'll get the turret no matter what. Um, just got to be more objective based thinking instead of um, like a lot of solo queue kind of thinking, where we want to chase for stuff instead of just taking the smart excuse me, the smart plays, which will really snowball your lead. Especially you guys have they have a good late game team too, but who gets the late game first is really gonna take control of the game basically. Whoever gets the mid game first is really gonna take control. So this is something right here as well. This is something real simple. You force her out of lane here. You both should just shove this into turret and make her walk all the way around. Someone should come on this side, because you guys can get one more plate at least and just back up. But more importantly, she's losing experience and gold right now. So these are just small details that you guys can be doing. Like, good job Central walking across, but then this should turn into something bigger for you guys because it's easy for you to do it right now. I know your blue's coming up, but you could literally force her out of lane right now for like 20, 30 seconds. Maybe get a plate, but at the worst case scenario, you get her to lose experience in gold, which is phenomenal. And then this is something too, like we have mid priority right now. We should really be talking about getting some deeper vision together. Probably on the top side of the map. Actually, the bottom side's fine. You're strong enough on the bottom side. And it'd be harder for Poppy to retaliate because anytime Vlad comes to lane, she's basically getting pushed back. But look how fast we're pushing now in comparison to the Zillion games. But this is exactly what I was talking about. We need to get vision because she just basically gets a free gank because we have no vision of anything except for the two bushes below the right hand side of map. And this is exactly why you shouldn't be on this side of the lane either when you have vision on the right hand side of the lane. Kind of fast forward here through, like you can see like Poppy trades back with him, but he just has so much sustain that like eventually the trading will go back into his favor because of the alt difference where he just gets a ton of life back. This is a really good setup by you guys. You get two flashes. I don't remember. I think you get Tom Kench here still, but Braum dies. So you have your flash up too, Mystic. That's right. You could have flashed out and they still would have been fine. It's just it's still a good gank and everything by you guys. But another thing when I talk about slowing down too, you got literally all four summoners here. Just reset and literally Jarvan can come around this side and you guys can gank right afterwards instead of having to just feel like you have to finish this gank off with something positive. You did. You got four summoners. You guys still both had flash. Jarvan used this flash during the gank, so get turret. We get the first turret, which is great. And this is the kind of stuff you should be doing as well. So she saw you bottom, so her response is, "What can I do next?" And she's taking the Herald now. So, and this is what I mean about his sustain is just really hard. You do a really good job of keeping up and farm and everything, but this is why we need to make smart decisions across the map because we have him in a bad matchup overall. And I'm not sure why you were on this side. You only have a pink ward too. You don't have any blue wards unless you just place this one. Once you place this, you could just drop your flag right here so you get vision if he has the raptors. If they are, they'll run to you. If not, you can just run out. This is just overextending. And you're the jungler, like it's Dragon's coming up in 44 seconds too. Like this is just the kind of stuff that needs to not happen. Like it's good you were going to get vision like we were talking about, but you have other ways to get vision of those raptors without having to go too deep. And I also wanted to know why you went Iceborne Gauntlet this game, Ioli, because um, Randuin's would have been better versus the Sivir because of the crit reduction. Yeah, I just don't think the Iceborne was the right choice, especially when you're just going one versus the Vladimir the whole time. So you could have even went like anything else with MR basically would have been better since it's just your matchup, especially with how close some of your fights were later in the game. If you had not had Iceborne and had a different MR item, whether you got the mask or fucking even Spirit Visage, even though you don't have healing, we get the dragon, which is good. And you guys immediately rotate to mid because their back timings are all screwed up. This is a good job by you guys. So immediately though now, um, I don't think we took a fight. I think they just had really poor back timing. So you guys got those two objectives. So immediately Again, we need to be thinking of what's the next thing that we want to get off the map and basically shove this wave, and then someone should be going to get Scuttle for Central because Central's really low. He should be going back before he comes to clear this because we just want to have our back timings a lot cleaner, especially when it comes to us replenishing wards so we can keep advancing our vision control. As you can see, it's 8 to 8. We have both dragons, and we're up close to 2K, so we're doing a good job, a lot better job this time in farm and everything. We're only losing by 10, it looks like, in the bottom lane, and about the same in the top lane, which is perfectly fine. Super strong mid this game, and we have all the objectives minus Shelly, and we have 2 turrets to their 1. So this is something you guys should talk about as well. Is when do we have um, item spikes, basically how much gold until you get an item spike. Talk about when your opponents item spikes are coming up as well. Like always be checking their inventory just to really find that stuff out. Nico suiciding. It was a good job by you guys. Yeah, so immediately you guys should be getting top lane, what you're doing. This is good. This is really good. You have good vision control this whole section too. You also see Vi's bot lane. So you guys can really hard shove. Just have Dawn basically shove that wave and then rotate to you guys. You probably could get some good denial on the top lane. You guys are rotating mid, so this is good too. Just just doing stuff as a team here when you know basically Vi wasn't there. But Mystic, you just gotta play disengage in this composition and not be too far up. I know you have the demolish for the turrets, but we have to know like their timing that they can collapse and stuff too. Because we just need you to basically be able to collapse. We end up getting 1 for 2. Do we get 2 for 2? No. So you guys do some good things. Like you did a really good job of basically capitalizing on getting that pick in the tri-bush top lane and then getting the top turret and then rotating, which is good. But we just have to keep them, always remember what your actual composition is too. So sometimes you just need to basically be the back line for disengage, especially if you're in a team at poke comp Mystic. Um, because you guys basically want to wear them down unless you catch someone out like you did in that tri-bush up there before anyone would go in. So at this point in the game, like you guys have 4 turrets that are 2. Um, their CS lead is growing on us though overall, except for mid lane. Mid lane's the only one that's actually winning. It looks like, yeah, mid lane's the only one winning. So that's why this gap is a lot smaller than it could be. And a lot of this comes down to basically wave management of when you need to, as a laner, so top lane, middle, AD carry, if you guys are talking about making a play, but you see that a wave is basically shoving into us, you need to basically call out and say, I need to take care of this wave first because it's us losing experience and gold if we don't get that wave. And just like that TP play the last game, where we got nothing out of the TP, GP ended up getting experience and catching up in farm. So wave management is a really big problem of uh, teams that are growing. Basically, they completely disregard it, and them just having better farm than us again this game is keeping them in the game. And their 80 carry is insanely strong right now. Our 80 carry and our mid lane are strong as well, but we have to remember they have a lot they can force onto this. That's what their team composition is, to hard engage, which is the counter to the poke composition. That's why it's very important that you guys recognize their strengths versus ours. And this is what I was talking about as well. 22 minutes in, you still don't have a sweeper this game. Central, you should definitely have a sweeper by now. You should have it by 15-minute mark, like I mentioned in the last game. Okay, so they got the wave management back, or not wave management, I'm sorry. They got the vision control a little bit back on the Baron side. Nothing crazy. We have good vision on their bottom side. So this is where we should be talking about what we want to do as a team. And you guys really need to start using your poke basically, because both of those guys are really strong. And this is something, since you guys have really good vision on the bottom side too, once you see them positioning for this dragon, you guys could be positioning for the Baron. You just cleared out um, the vision over there, in the pit at least. So if we position mid like I was talking about, which you guys are positioning mid side this time. Did we take care of the wave in mid lane yet? I don't see it. Top lane, you guys already have the wave taken control of. Oh, this is where you guys. So this is where we lose the game basically, because like I was mentioning, you guys need to really take into consideration what your strengths as a comp are as well as theirs. And theirs is team fighting and hard engage. Yours is poke and disengage. And we're the ones engaging, because we think it's a good engage. Um, but we're literally playing right into their composition, which is a huge mistake. And they basically take control of the whole game here. Um, oh yeah, they do get you. Okay. So this is why it's always important. This is why I've said it both games now of talking about what your win conditions are and what their win conditions are as well when you guys are loading in. But you need to remind each other what it is throughout the game as well. Because right there, you guys just turn your team into a team fighting composition when you're not. And and that's what ends up costing you guys the game. Which, I mean, you guys saw how close the game was the whole time. Even after that fight, you're only down 1.4 before the Baron goes down. But this is why it's really important, like your communication throughout games is always talking about win conditions, their win conditions, item spikes for you and them, how we can play around our item or our win condition. So right now, the great thing about Talia and you guys being a poke composition is her ultimate. You can basically you could have grouped up in lanes instead of trying to force in the jungle. And then anytime that they are between a turret and open space, she can just ult, and try to split them up basically, to force out summoners, basically to make them force flash back over the wall that she creates. And then you guys can just poke them down and stuff like that too, because in order for them to hard engage, now they're completely split up. But we need to talk about that stuff though, like so you guys can work around your win conditions. So we got the ocean dragon, which is really good for our composition here too, since it is we have the poke composition. Ocean is insanely strong for that. So you guys did a better job with these objectives. But going back to that last fight, if we would have just poked and not played into their hands, we honestly were in the driver's seat of this game. Like, so you guys have to slow down in those regards. And they get Baron. So this is something that's a really important thing to talk about too. Is when they have Baron, or you're playing versus a team that has Baron. Oh, this is a big mistake over here. When they have Baron, they're supposed to gain um, objectives, and it's okay if they do. You basically want to do as much as you can to slow them down as much as possible, but you don't ever want to do this right here. You guys are, you see that there's only three of them here, and you're splitting up. Um, and like this engage is we're pretty far apart from each other. The Sivir should automatically be alting right now to just disengage. Excuse me. And then they're going to get free turrets in the mid lane because we chase really far. So she just now alted. So she alts really late. Vladimir is coming into you guys, which is a, a big mistake as well. I don't remember how this turns out. All I remember is they get way too much mid lane. Yeah, so okay. Yeah. This is us basically again turning our poke composition into a team fighting composition. I understand there was 3 of them there and you were 5, but you basically instead of trying to slow down their Baron, which is what your objective is, like I mentioned, if you slow them down to only getting a few objectives when they have Baron, you win the Baron trade. I know that they're gaining gold, but you're not losing the game. But now you just sped up the productivity of them basically getting turrets because we chased and we didn't get anything. They actually got a kill out of that and we didn't. Um, so you guys just have to realize like how to slow down. And again, you guys have really good turret defense. Their siege is decent too with Nico and Sivir being able to trade back with you guys, but you guys have to not try to force for no reason basically because again these are just 2 instances now where we're just putting the game completely in their favor. And then this is where I was talking about basically itemization, like you're building the gauntlet right now. So there's no world um, where you're going to end up being able to sustain being in the lane with Vladimir now, and he's slowly going to be able to get turrets. So this is going back to the first game that we talked about, like what our objective should have been was getting Riven ahead. So this could have been the Riven in the first game, but now in this game it's the Vladimir because of his sustain is just ridiculous, and then also your itemization um, is just not correct, especially versus a 2 AP team, the Nico and the Vladimir. And Vi should never be on you either, so that's 1 less. Like Randowins is way better than the Iceborne here too because it reduces the chance of crit from the Sivir. So if you were going to go armor, that would have been a better option, but I still think because of your situation having to be in that side lane, that some type of MR is just by far the better choice. And again, this is just an overextension. We have to know that basically when a turret's gone, that we just have to bail on it instead of giving them more. So look at that turret. That turret is next wave. It's dead no matter what because we don't have enough wave clear with Talia having to be mid lane because of the super minions that we had let go through. So this is just us. We need to just surrender this turret right now and just back up instead of just giving them something else for free because there's nothing that's going to stop them from getting this turret at this point because we're 3 versus 4. Instead, we end up giving them a kill. So now we're just making things even easier on them because now Talia has to try to come over here and make a play as well. And mm, and this is like you almost won that trade there, but he's just right back in lane because he has all the sustain in the world. He also has 2 levels on you right now too. So if he was smart, anytime that you got your coin out there, he would literally just retreat instead of basically being face to face with you. So these are just instances of like if something looks like it works here, doesn't mean it's the right decision because you have to put yourself in a position of if you're playing versus better players, they're going to be able to punish you for making these mistakes even harder, whether it's an item, your positioning, overextending, lack of vision control, all of that. And again, I understand you guys are feeling like the game's over at this point, But this is honestly a mistake too because you're turning your team composition into a team fight composition instead of poking. This is what you should be doing right here. Just getting vision back on the Baron, and that's it. And then we need basically Poppy to be here right now because she is teleport. And then you guys can try to just help her out, grab the minions in the mid lane, and then walk this way. Um, the Nico's out of her fucking mind for even trying that, but you see your base is getting like dumpstered right now too. Um, and because they're a team fighting composition, you're a poke composition. Like this is just, even though you guys were 5 versus 4, it just no, it's not going to end up in your favor when they're, especially when they're ahead. So this is the kind of stuff you guys just need to take into consideration. Basically throughout the whole game. This Nico too, like suiciding like that, she has to realize how far behind she is right now too. So she should be checking the bush with her clones, not actually running at a bush. And she has blue trinket. She should be waiting for the blue trinket to be up, everything like that. And see, look, 31 minutes in the game, you still don't have sweeper. Your guys' vision scores, like there should be no reason that mid lane is basically tied for first in vision scores. It should always be support heavy and jungle heavy for vision. So that just shows you Dawn does a really good job with uh, keeping up the vision. You guys still make some really good plays, but a very common mistake a lot of teams make basically um, in general is just learning how to slow down and then talking about the game as it's going on a lot more in a way that basically you're sharing information, but it doesn't have to be you talking like for 20 minutes. It's basically relaying mids flash down or um, um, say Central wants to go get vision in the enemy jungle. He'll call for Dawn to get priority mid by shoving the wave and then coming with him. Um, Calling for rotational plays like when I was talking about Herald this game at 12 minutes. Um, Being able to get that basically in that small window of 12 to 14 minutes is the best time to be able to get it because of a you can if there are weak turrets like you guys had in mid and bottom this game, you can get the plates and break the turret. Or if you drop it right after 14 minutes, the plates are gone, and then she's most likely going to break the turret, and you can get the first turret gold for the team a lot easier. Um, but you also need to, in situations, instead of chasing too far, think more objective based thinking. Like, what can we do? We just got a small advantage. Is everyone close enough to me that we can keep team fighting, or should we peel off into a lane and try to get a turret off this, get a dragon off this, anything along those lines, so you can slowly roll that snowball and make it bigger and bigger when you get leads. Because that's just the easiest way to win games is immediately become more objective based thinking. Because if anytime you're not being objective based thinking, you're playing solo queue, and you guys don't want to do that. You want to win consistently, make better decisions more consistently. You guys do a really good job in points of both games of getting your vision up, but then you need to be able to make plays around the vision too. So you need to start thinking about that stuff. That's why communicating with your jungler saying, I have priority, do you want to come and try to get some deep vision together? Even if you don't get kills, you just get vision together. Like that's a huge win for your team because if you can track the jungler top lane, then the bot lane knows if they have a winning matchup that they can be aggressive. Just small stuff like that. All right, guys, I'm going to submit this, upload these, and then send them over to Dawn. If you guys do take time to watch these, I hope they helped you in some way. Um, and you guys are more than welcome to add me on Discord. My Discord number, I'm trying to remember what the hell it is. I believe it's 4498. So it's Primo Victor 4498 is my Discord if you want to talk about these games or if you have any questions as well. I'm more than happy to talk about this stuff. And then I'll be talking to Don as well to see if working with you guys to become your coach or if it's just something like this where I work with you guys once in a while or not. Because I do have other stuff that's on the horizon right now, so I don't know if I'll be able to become your coach or. And on top of that, I don't know if you guys would want me as your coach too. Something we would have to talk about. So I hope this helped you guys out.